So today I'll be showing you a few tips and tricks on how you can speed up your Windows 11 computer by simply turning off some settings and by freeing up some data usage as you use your computer. So to begin, simply go to your search bar and find your settings section and go to privacy and security. You can simply search that yourself, and then you're going to want to scroll down to app permissions. Now once here, we're going to be going into location, camera, and all this other stuff that we're probably not using necessarily. So for instance, with location, we'll go ahead and click that. And in the case that we're not using location services, that we don't actually need it, you can go ahead and toggle it off, or you can toggle it on or off for specific apps that you are using or want to be using. In my case, I do use the location services for my weather app, so I will leave it at this current time. However, for your purposes, if you want to speed up your computer, by turning this off, it'll help, reduce the amount of data usage and the overall capacity of your computer when it's not necessary. So we can go back to privacy and security, and you can do the same for camera. You can simply, for instance, I don't use camera whatsoever. I can go ahead and toggle that off, and that'll enable it in the case that, disable it in the case that I'm not using it. So if I'm not using it for streaming, let's say, or if I'm not using a camera for a webcam for chatting or anything under the sun, then I can go ahead and toggle it off, and that'll make it, make my PC run faster on Windows 11. Now you can do the same thing for notifications over here, and you're going to want to go ahead and see notification access. You can do it for specific apps if you wanted to as well, but you can go ahead and toggle these off, and by doing this you won't get notifications, but it'll also free up some space on your computer instead of having notifications running unnecessarily. And you can go back again. You can probably do the same thing for microphone. I definitely can't right now since I am recording, but a lot of tools do use microphone, and in the case that you don't use it, you can go ahead and turn that off as well because it's just on automatically, despite you probably not using it unless you're creating some form of content. You can do the same thing, for instance, with messaging, where it works with the People app. For instance, I don't use it. It's not necessary for me either, and you can go ahead and toggle that off. It's just unnecessary things that are basically running in the background and have them enabled for no reason at all if you are not using these applications or these settings that are associated with specific application. So basically go through each of these and make sure if it's something you need or don't need. And if you don't need it, go ahead and just toggle it off, and it'll help speed up your computer overall. As for this one, I did hear that it is something that you may need for Bluetooth, so just be cautious with that. But beyond that, you can go ahead and turn off most of these things if you're not using it with an associated application. The next area we're going to focus on is the apps area, which you can access in the top left of your screen. And from there, you'll see your installed apps, your advanced app settings, and all the other stuff associated with your application. Now, one of the easiest ways to speed up your computer is just by simply freeing up memory. You can do that by going to your installed apps and then going over all of the applications that you have that are actually downloaded, and you can literally see from size of large to small of how much space it takes. So in my case, for instance, if I wasn't using Microsoft Clipchamp, that's 4 gigabytes of memory that I could free up if I wanted to. If I did want to delete this or any other app that I have, all you simply have to do is click the 3 dots and go ahead and click uninstall. And by doing that, you are simply removing it from your Windows 11 computer and freeing up more space so that you can actually utilize your computer without other apps just taking up space and memory that's unnecessary. Now, you can also go back to apps. Let's go back to the app settings. And after uninstalling apps that you don't need, we can go ahead and now since we've eliminated some that we don't need, we will have some that we do need, but perhaps you don't want them to be starting up the minute you put on your computer. Maybe it's something like Clipchamp or something that you want to access from time to time, but you don't want it immediately. So what we're going to do is go to Startup, click that, and then from here you're going to see which ones start up immediately when you start your computer. Now this could be terribly annoying with some of them if they're just popping up and taking up space immediately or running in the background when you don't need it on at all. So I'm going to scroll down. For instance, I have Surfshark and Windows notification, but I've turned off most of the other ones that would start up naturally. For instance, I remember my Steam account would always come popping up. The same happened with a few of my video games like the Jagex launcher. So just by going through them and making sure if you do want to keep these apps, that for instance you don't want them opening up the minute you start up your computer. For instance, I do not use Microsoft Edge whatsoever. There's no reason for me to have it on. I do like to have Microsoft Defender. As for OneDrive, I also don't need to have that on. So you can just go through your apps, the ones that you kept after going through the ones that you've uninstalled, and verify if you need to have them on the minute you start up your computer. And if you don't, simply toggle it off, and that way you will have more space upon starting your computer, helping it run much more efficiently. Now finally, the last little tip or trick I'll give you guys to help speed up your computer in a very simple manner is by going to the gaming section. And if you don't play video games on your computer and you have a Windows 11 computer, there's no need for you to have the Xbox Game Bar enabled. As you can see here, you can allow your controller to open Game Bar and have the whole thing on as a whole. It's just not necessary if you are not gaming, so you can go ahead and toggle that off. This feature is strictly for people that are gaming, so like I said, if you're not gaming, useless feature, not necessary for you. Toggle it off, as well as any other settings involving the gaming section that you perhaps don't need, such as captures, capture audio in a game, capture mouse cursor. These are all settings that don't need to be on, especially if you are not gaming. You could even optimize your PC for play by turning these things off in the background or turning them. You just basically don't need to have these things on if you're not gaming. So, hopefully this video was helpful to you and it helped you speed up your Windows 11 computer. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe, and have a nice day.